Welcome to Facts TV News, where everything is true. Court grants stay of order to search phone of Gabriel Kings' mother. The Supreme Court has granted a stay of order to search the phone of Amoylea Issa. Mrs. Lena Issa is the mother of the 9-year-old Gabriel King, who was killed along the Tuckerman Road in St. James on January 13 last year. The police have been trying to gain access to Mrs. Issa's phone to assist in the investigation. To do so, they secured a court order. But a stay of that order was granted last Thursday following an application by her attorneys. The attorneys sought the stay pending the outcome of the constitutional motion filed on behalf of Mrs. Issa challenging the order to search her cell phone. In the claim, the attorneys contended that the order to search her phone is a breach of Mrs. Issa's right of privacy. The constitutional motion is scheduled to be heard on March 30. The police in St. James had earlier said they are awaiting the return of Gabriel's mother to the island in order to execute an arrest warrant for her failure to comply with the court order. Mrs. Issa is reportedly in Canada. The police are urging prankers to desist from unsafe practice as these pranks are dangerous and inconsiderate. Detective Corporal Sasha Gay Mullins explains.
Hi, I am Detective Corporal Sasha Gay Mullins, and today I have some nuggets for you. The Jamaica Constabulary Force is aware of an increase in pranking activities by some social media influencers. In keeping with the JCF's mission statement to maintain law and order, protect life and property, prevent and detect crime, and preserve the peace, we use this medium to inform these pranksters that they are to be mindful of legal ramifications stemming from these practices, especially if they result in loss, death, or injury of other members of the society. These behaviors are not only dangerous, reckless, and inconsiderate practices, but also puts the prankster at risk. Firstly, let us address whether pranking constitutes an offense. Loosely, pranking is a mischievous act or joke played on someone. The circumstances of the prank will determine whether it can be viewed as an offense once reported, and a range of offenses may be committed. It should also be noted that in circumstances where a report is made and the police have expended resources to investigate a matter that turns out to be a prank, charges can be laid for creating public mischief. Let us use the first scenario in the following video on Twitter as an example. Two men approached a lady and said, "Give me everything we have in the bag," causing her to scream and run away. This could be viewed as an assault or breach of the peace. If the victim makes a report to the police, identifies the culprits, who then become the subject of an investigation, charges may be laid for assault and or using threatening language. Secondly, it is noted that in many of the pranking videos being circulated, imitation firearms are being brandished or allegations are being made by the pranksters that they possess firearms in order for the victims to comply. Note that both of these practices are related to offenses listed under the Firearms Prohibition, Restriction, and Regulation Act 2022. This addresses, among other things, using an imitation firearm and also seeking unlawful benefit or causing apprehension of any person by professing to have a firearm or access to a firearm. In the event that a prankster's reckless, unlawful, and deliberate behavior leads to the injury or loss, including loss of life, of a victim, the circumstances will dictate what legal implications will flow. For example, if a prankster pretends to be robbing a person, causing such fright that a heart attack is induced, and the person dies, then the prankster may have committed the offense of manslaughter. The determination to satisfy legal requirements will be made by a judge of the Supreme Court and jury. We urge these social media influencers to desist from carrying out these practices as this could also lead to them being hurt. For example, if a reasonable person honestly believes that the prank was an attack from which he or she needs to defend themselves, self-defense will be invoked. Pranking is not a defense, and so pranksters cannot use it to absolve themselves of liability. The JCF is advising that these videos being created and circulated on social media for likes and fame are not in keeping with us promoting a safe society. Instead, it promotes heightened fear associated with criminal behavior. Again, we urge you to desist from creating fear and mayhem within our society. And we also invite members of the public who are so impacted to report these matters so that persons can be arrested and charged. We are stronger together. Help us keep you safe.
JDF Sergeant wins discharge case against Army. A Jamaica Defense Force JDF Sergeant, who was discharged in October 2018, has been successful in the case he brought against the Army. Gary Lloyd, who represented himself in court, has been back on the job since last month following a ruling. Lloyd was with the JDF for over 18 years before being discharged. Supreme Court Judge Sonia Wint-Blair found in December last year that the Defense Act was breached when Lloyd was discharged. The judge granted an order to question the decision to discharge him and ruled that it was illegal, null void, and of no effect. There was no evidence to indicate that Lloyd was provided with a certificate of discharge as provided by the Act, the judge held. An order was made by the judge that Lloyd be reinstated and paid all salary, pension, and emoluments from October 20, 2018 to October 20, 2020. Lieutenant Colonel Richard DeCosta, who was Lloyd's then acting commanding officer, and the Jamaica Defense Force were the defendants in the suit. Lloyd had applied in January 2018 to be re-engaged for 2 years, but was instead re-engaged for 6 months. In April 2018, he again applied to be re-engaged for 2 years and was informed that his application would not be granted. He subsequently met with Lieutenant Colonel DeCosta on October 19, 2018, and was told that redress of complaints was not approved and he would be terminated. Lloyd said that although he had committed no offenses, broken no rules or regulations worthy of discharge, it negatively affected his ability to obtain gainful employment. DeCosta stated that on June 15, 2018, Lloyd met with his then acting commanding officer, Major Philip Stewart, and was informed that his application dated January 26, 2018 would not be granted due to failure to improve his performance and that his tenure with the JDF would not go beyond October 20, 2018. He stated that in response, Lloyd submitted a redress of complaints as provided by Section 174 of the Defense Act. The judge in ruling in favor of Lloyd found that on a balance of probabilities, there were several irregularities in the procedure set down in Act, the regulation, and the Forest Service orders. The judge found that the minimum standard of procedural fairness were not observed in the case, and Lloyd was deprived of a fair hearing. He was not given an opportunity to see a written report of his performance and to discuss in an interview with his commanding officer and to have his performance reviewed by the Chief of Defense Staff if adverse comments had been made on his report, the judge said. Director of State Proceeding, Faith Hall, represented the defendants. Gas station operator shot dead in Clarendon. A businessman was shot dead by gunmen on the Coy Road in Clarendon on Tuesday morning. The businessman has been identified as 67-year-old Jerome Besser, who is said to operate a gas station in the parish. A construction worker was injured in the incident. It was reported that around 10 a.m., Jerome and the other man were standing in front of an unfinished apartment complex under construction at the Coy Road. Police said 2 men armed with handguns approached from the rear of the building and opened gunfire, hitting both men. They fell to the ground, and the gunmen ran back to the rear of the building and escaped into bushes. The police were summoned and found the lifeless body of Jerome lying on its back on the ground at the front of the building in a pool of blood. He had several gunshot wounds to the head. The injured man was found suffering from gunshot wounds to the back and was rushed to the hospital, where he was admitted in serious condition. Police found 13 9mm spent shells upon processing the scene. No motive has yet been established for the attack. Please remember to subscribe, like, share,